and welcome to this demonstration of the DeckCraft Bot application, which allows you to build Lorcana decks based solely on your collection.
To do so, it's very simple. You must first have created an account and then log in with the account you just created. Usually, when you create the account, it logs you in automatically. I already have an account that I've already created. There, I'm logging in. All right.
So here, I have my sessions. For now, I don't have any. And I have my collection, which is already loaded, there. The collection tool is really just for checking if you have all the cards you own, to do a quick check, but it is by no means a tool for managing your card collection.
Once you're ready, you can create your session. You have the choice between Infinity Constructed, where most cards are allowed, except for banned cards, but generally all cards are allowed, or Core Constructed, which is, well, the latest active Lorcana season.
At the time I'm making this video, the Fabled set has been released, and we are about to get the latest series of cards that will come out from Set 10, Whispers in the Well, and we are almost at its release. So I'm going to choose Infinity Deck type to show you. All right, so I have a session here, and now I can start the discussion with the bot. I'm going to try to have it build a nice deck. So in this scenario, I'm on a premium plan. This means I have access to all the features, all the application's functionalities. So here, I like to play, for example, an Amber-Amethyst deck. It's a good classic combo that you find in many starter decks. So here, I'm going to ask it to build an Amber-Amethyst deck without too many instructions. All right.
So, since I'm on the premium plan, it checked the meta to see what's happening with this combination. Then it will also check the archetype that might be the best to use in the infinity mode. There we go. So it tells me that in the current meta, the perfect combination is a fairly aggressive aggro type combination. There.
So aggro, which means for those who don't necessarily know the terms, is a very fast, very aggressive deck that allows you to overwhelm the opponent, as it's explained here, with a ton of small creatures, small characters, to gain lore very quickly. So now it's proposing a deck plan, which I can critique, challenge. I can totally, in fact, disagree with it, propose another solution, or I can stick to what it's proposing. So here, it suggests having an aggressive game with a lot of low-value, low-cost characters, to have many characters of this type to generate lore very quickly at the start of the game, before the opponent can actually respond. It explains that it's a very aggressive type of deck, in which, in fact, we're really going to focus on the very first turns. The fact that we're in Amethyst allows us to have card draw. The main strategy is to flood, meaning to overwhelm the board with cards with characters that the opponent won't be able to manage. To incorporate characters with bodyguard to protect our other characters that generate the most lore. And here it suggests roughly, approximately 42 characters out of the 60 cards we're going to make, maybe 6 items, maybe some actions and songs. There, it also proposes a curve. Very good. Obviously, right? Very aggressive with many low-cost cards. And then a ratio, with a majority of inkable cards. It suggests at least 40. Well, if the plan is okay, we're just doing a simple demo here, I'll say, okay, let's go. So now it says, here we go. We're starting with the core of our aggro strategy, the one-cost characters. So it looks in my collection, whether it's amber or amethyst or dual color with this type of deck, normally we don't have any, but to propose the best ones. All right, it's searched, it found, so now it's making a proposal. There, a few cards. So afterward, we can always suggest something else. So it tells me we can start with 4 Stitch, 4 Mirabelle Madrigal, some Pluto. Oh, I don't have that many, I only have 3. Some Rafiki in Amethyst, right, with Challenger +3, and Olaf. There, it says there just to have a bit of consistency in the deck. Okay, here, we're not necessarily here to critique the choices, just to show you a bit of what it's capable of. And of course, a skilled player can absolutely question what's proposed. Well, I'm gonna say okay. So here, I'm writing a bit of a sentence, but in fact, you can just say okay, and it does it directly. So now it's adding on the right, you see, it has added the cards to the deck in progress. So now we have 14 cards. We're on an application that is not made for collecting, once again, or for displaying images or anything else. So for reasons of simplicity and also copyright, we only have the card name, the quantity, the card information eventually, color, card type, ink cost, etc., rarity, card text when there is any, and that's all. There. Now it moves on to the 2-cost cards. It proposes, there, obviously, Maleficent, Madame Mim, LeFou, and a song. Very good. So now we continue to accept its proposals. For the 3-cost cards, it also proposes another Maleficent, a Madame Mim as a fox, there, with Rush, and Mickey Mouse. For example, here, I can ask it, look, this is a basic card, even if it gets 2 lore. So I tell it that it's what we call a vanilla card, meaning it's a basic card, it has no particular ability, even if the stats are good. So I ask it if there isn't something else. So, can we have something else to have more synergy, for example? So the deck is starting to be built. Okay, so it tells me, indeed, that's not necessarily something that's important for this type of deck. Now it proposes something beefier. There, Queen of Hearts. There, a 3/3 also. And she has an ability. Whenever this character quests, your other villain characters get +1 lore this turn. Since we already have villains, well, that seems like a good choice. It proposes to replace it? I say of course. Okay, that suits me perfectly. So it adds there what it told me earlier. Okay, we have 38 cards now. It's going to look at the 4-cost cards. All right. Merlin, yes. Hades, there. Cinderella. Okay, let's go. Here, I'm giving you a little demo just to show you, but I'm not really optimizing the deck right now. I'm just showing what it's capable of doing when you let it guide you. You'll see that it's already making a completely acceptable deck with the collection I have. I have a lot of cards, but ultimately I don't have that many that are big, beefy cards, in terms of legendaries, for example, or others. So it does what it can with what it has. But you'll see, it still remains very coherent. We'll see the final report at the end. So here, for the 5-cost cards, it's proposing a few. There, I have a nice one of those. So I say, okay. All right. We're nearing the end. So now we're at 47 cards. 51 now, it's added them. And now it's going to do another little pass. So on the stronger cards, either it will complete with intermediate cost cards, so now it's doing the analysis. It says, there, we have a solid core, a solid base. But to make our deck even faster and more aggressive, it suggests that we, actually remove this Cinderella card to have something more focused. So afterward, however, it's going to replace it. But what card can we replace it with? So it's going to suggest more Rafiki. We already had some, I think. Rafiki. There, it's going to tell us we're going to add 2 more. That's right. There, keeps the tempo. Okay, that's good. Okay, it made the modifications, normally. How many were we at? Ah, no, sorry, it wasn't the same card. It was the Mystical Fighter Sage. Okay, sorry, it wasn't the same one. I misread. And then, it says there, to reach our 60-card minimum, we suggest adding there, a little stash of more or less powerful cards and some Hakuna Matata. All right, let's go. Let's finish generating this deck. Ah, here. We see that, well, it tried to take too many cards from my collection. I don't have as many copies as it was proposing. It tells me, look, in the end, we only get to 58. You see, so as a result, it tells me, what else do we have to complete it? Because obviously, it can't take more than what we have in the collection, right? That's what it's for. There. And so it tells me, look, I only have Moana and Hakuna Matata. I'm limited. I don't have 4 Hakuna Matatas. I don't know how many I have, but I don't remember how many I have. There, I only have 3. So I only have 3, so it wanted to put in 4. It couldn't. It suggests adding other cards. All right, okay, let's go. Here, we'll keep it. How many cards do we have in total? 61. That's good, that's okay. Afterward, if you don't like it, if you really want to stay at 60, you can say, remove 1 card. It will choose with you which one you remove, but 61 is perfectly acceptable. And now it gives me the final report. So it names the deck. Now, this isn't essential, but when you want to save it, for example in Dreamborn.inc, it's more practical to already have a title for your deck without having to rack your brains looking for one. So it gives me the number of cards, the number of characters, actions, the ratio of inkable to non-inkable cards. So here, almost 80% of the cards are inkable. The ink cost distribution, there. So in the end, it put in a few more high-cost cards, but hey, we can change it, of course. Once again, it's really a draft, right? If you wanted to afterward, you can test the deck, then refine it, redo it, say right away, tell it, I'm not happy with the deck, I'd rather do it differently, or even jump back into the construction. Here, I let it do its thing almost the whole time, but you have total control over how the deck is built. Here, it explains very quickly how to play with this deck. So here, there, it explains that you have to try to get mostly 1 and 2 cost cards onto the board very quickly. Then, in the mid-game, try to draw cards with, well, the classic engine, right? Friends on the other side, and Merlin, for example. Control the board with Rush, right? Madam Mim or Rafiki. And afterward, there are some synergies it proposes, there because it thought them out that way, with Queen of Hearts, which lets you activate the ability that lets you get more lore when you have villains on the board. There, and then we have a little synergy also on the song level, with Mirabelle and Ursula. And then with the bounce, it's there, Madam Mim, obviously, she's known for that. She allows you to get Madam Mim out, bring her back to draw again, etc. Well, and then we have some beefy cards, like for example, well, a good example there. So Rush, and then some Evasive. And after, it explains what's next. And at the end, it suggests, here, there are maybe a few cards you could acquire if you don't have them. So yes, sometimes it might miss something, just you have them, but it missed it. You can say, wait, I have that. Modify the deck in question. It does it. So thank you for finishing. You can continue, of course, to chat with it, to refine the deck, etc. But if you want to test it directly, you can, boop, click on Export, there, in Dreamborn.inc format. In fact, it's just the text format, really. You can either download it or copy it. Here you can copy here or copy here. Well, whatever. And this is the classic format that you have for all the sites where you have Lorcana, with the number of copies and then the card name. I hope you enjoyed this and found it interesting. To end it, I like to rename the deck. You can keep the date, but it's written at the bottom of the session name. Don't hesitate to send us messages or questions if you have any problems with the application or if you have any questions. See you very soon. Ciao, ciao.